Death Knights are cool. Being able to mix a frontliner who is well armored and has a really big weapon with a mage that has necromancy and frost-like powers is awesome. Mix that in with your army of undead and you got yourself a Death Knight. Let's do this. In order to pull this build off, I went the Reborn lineage. This is primarily for flavor purposes. I wanted to be 1 foot in death, 1 foot out of death, very similar to Artificer, for example. And so going Reborn really hits that flavor note for me. It does a couple benefits for us, but overall I'm not going to look into them too deeply. As for our stats, we need to make sure we hit 14 in dexterity. Past that, we're going to have our primary in intelligence, secondary in constitution, and anything remainder into wisdom. Our first 3 levels are going into Battlesmith Artificer, after which for the rest of our career we're going to be going into the School of Necromancy Wizard. These first 3 levels are going to do a lot for us. First off, they're going to let us actually have armor. They're going to allow us to have constitution saves. They're going to give us a couple infusions, which I'll probably use for +1 weapon, +1 armor. Going to give us the fantastic shield spell. It's going to let us use our intelligence modifier for our weapon attacks, but most importantly, it's going to give us our first minion, who is not a steel defender, but is rather a bone defender, specifically Boris the Bone Boar. Here at level 3, our playstyle is already online. We have a bone defender, so we have our first minion, we're running in there in the front line, and we're mixing up weapon attacks with spell casting. That's what we're looking for. Trying to, of course, make the spell casting more Death Knighty flavor, but overall what we're going to be doing is Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade and mixing it in with spells from there. Now right now our spells aren't that great. We have our first level Artificer spells, but we're going to change that by going the rest of our career into the School of Necromancy Wizard. Early on, the School of Necromancy Wizard is going to give us more spammable first level spells. Absorb Elements and Silvery Barbs comes to mind. But really quickly, we're going to get those second level spells, and the second level spells are a big deal for us because our first level spells are really relegated to our spammables, Shield, Absorb Elements, for example, and then our third level spells and onward are likely going to be relegated to casting Animate Undead. So that leaves our second level spells as a sweet spot where we can do a whole bunch of flexible spells. We can take a whole bunch of second level spells because we're going to have the space to do so. And it turns out that it's a good thing that wizards have a fantastic second level spell list, beginning with Web. Web is going to be our primary fight winning spell, and I'm going to flavor it as Frost or Ice, creating these ice crystals that pin everybody down. Pretty neat. Another cool one I want to shout out is Blur. Now we're a frontliner, but we're still getting D6s primarily as our health die, so we want to have defenses out the wazoo. Blur can really help us do that, and it really stands out when we're not concentrating on anything else and we just want to be a tanky fighter. Other fun options include Vortex Warp, Maximilian's Frozen Grasp, casting Dragon's Breath, the Frost version, on any of our minions. Can be kind of a cool minion buff. Misty Step, Hold Person, Invisibility, sky's the limit here. Take a whole bunch of these spells and mix them in as we go. And once we get our third level spells, we're going to start creating our Horde. Most of our third level spells onward are going to be committed to this. The Necromancer Wizard has pretty efficient damage output when it comes to its summons, and it can summon more on top of that. So we are definitely managing a horde here, and be very careful how you do it at the table. It can be a problem, so come up with a plan beforehand with your DM. But at this point, we are full on in our flavor. We're casting ice magic, we have our horde with us, and we're still tangling in the front line. For bonus points, take the Phantom Steed so you have an undead horse to ride into battle. Now moving on to the super late game, we're eventually going to get Control Undead. We're talking 17th level here. Now, as soon as you get this feature, you want to start hunting down a Nightwalker. It's a very specific enemy, a very deadly enemy, but it has low resistance for your Control Undead, and once you get it, you're going to have an extremely powerful follower. And this is truly a servant worthy of an undead overlord. This has just been my take on a Death Knight. I would love to hear your guys's. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to give a personal thank you to one of our patrons, IAmNotSoulX. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. If you want to show support to the channel as well as get some awesome benefits along the way, consider checking out our Patreon. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.